forgiveness.
3,
In the hills of love.
5, 6, 7,
On the sea of love.
9.
Love's gonna get you, baby.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. It's always, well, at least for me, it's always a great pleasure and also a great honor to be able to have the opportunity to be able to share my thoughts, from the course perspective. Because, we always have things going on in our lives, and I always appreciate the idea of being able to share my perspective on different things that comes up for me. And as usual, I always turn it over to the Holy Spirit of guiding me of what is it that the Spirit feels like for me to be able to talk about today. And today it is talk about, what is pride. So happy Pride, everyone. So this is the time of the year that the LGBTQ plus community celebrate Pride for us being of who we are. And of course, it's a little different this year because of the coronavirus. Normally, we would be having like millions and millions of people out here in San Francisco celebrating, because it is one of the biggest prides that actually happens around the country, of folks coming from all over the place to be able to celebrate Pride. But this year is going to be done virtually because of everything that is going on right now regarding that aspect of it. And this year also happens to be Pride 50th year anniversary. So this is the year San Francisco Pride is the 50th year anniversary. So it's a big year. It's a big milestone for the community to be able to knowing that we've been doing this for so long regarding that aspect of it. And the interesting thing is, knowing the fact that I'm 50, I'm like, oh my God, okay, this is almost very similar to how old I am right now, how long that this has been going on. And it's, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do that. And so because of that, I was guided to talk about pride, to get a better sense of understanding of what pride, mean, to me, but also, I'm going to give you a definition of what they say in the dictionary regarding pride, and then also some thoughts about how the course actually see pride, and then give you some examples, regarding that aspect of it. So first I'm going to start off with, this is what the dictionary says what pride is. The quality or state of being proud. The quality or state of being proud. But then it also mentions this in the dictionary as well. A feeling of honor and self-respect, a sense of personal worth. And then it also says, which is interesting, excessive self-esteem and conceited. Then it also says a source of pride. And it also says a satisfaction or pleasure taken in one's own or another's success, achievement. And it also says the better or most superior part of something, like a flower. And then it ends with saying the most flourishing of time. So as we can see, it's very interesting to see how, of the different types of definitions and meanings that they have regarding, pride and what it means regarding that aspect of it. And so I also decided to just, go online and type in the word pride from the Course in Miracles online version. So I like to see, how many, what the Course has to say, about a particular word. And so I decided to look up pride. It only actually showed up 9 times in the course. So it is not one of the most popular words that that the course actually talks about or that it relates to. So I thought that was probably like, okay, that's very interesting regarding that aspect of it. But then also it has its own take on pride. And so I want to go over a couple of those quotes that actually has the word pride in it. The first one is, at least such misuse offers preoccupation and perhaps pride in the past. And then it also says, it is pride that would deny the call for God himself. And then it also says the ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. And then a couple more that it says, it is easy to distinguish grandeur versus grandiosity because love is returned and pride is not. It is not pride which tells you that you made the world you see and that it changes as you change your mind. And then another one, it is the opposite of a statement of pride, of arrogance, or of self-deception. So it was very interesting to see and get a sense of how the course actually tends to use, the word pride, um, from the course perspective, which is very interesting because when we think of pride, we all do think it in different ways. Normally I think that we think of pride as, something that, very positive, something very uplifting, something that we're very proud of, whether it's in ourselves or within, someone else or, whatever someone does, we actually, feel that. But then also we do also sometimes use pride is also used in a way of, in a sense of like, when we like feel like our pride is getting in the way of actually us moving forward to doing something. So, we also use pride in that way because we feel like, oh, wait a minute. No. I don't want to like, interact in that relationship because for some reason we're too prideful of it, or for some reason we don't want to own our mistakes because of our pride. So many different ways that it, the word pride can actually be, that has been used in our, in this world that we are in. And so I found that very, very, interesting regarding that aspect of it. And, and then also understanding the way that the course uses it and plus the dictionary. And so it made me reflect on, pride for this month, the fact that it is, the LGBTQ plus community on pride, the opportunity to be able to share and to really, really, show our pride regarding that aspect of it. And so it made me really, think about, okay, what is the reasoning behind it? What is it why we celebrate this, every month in June, specifically the last Sunday, of the month regarding that aspect of it. And then it made me, realize, what it is. It's an opportunity for some people, for a lot of us who struggle with coming out, to be able to have that opportunity to be able, at least in that one moment, in that one day, to accept of who we are, to be very proud of being, part of the community, and to be able to own that. Here in San Francisco, I recognize we sometimes are in a little bubble because San Francisco does seems to be a lot more open, a lot more free than a lot of other places around the country. But, there are still some people in the Bay Area who also struggles with coming out. And so this is at least once a month is an opportunity to be able to do that. And I know from my experiences of going to many, many prides of how you see individuals that you probably would never ever seen, before, to come out and just celebrate, to be able to be themselves, to be able to be just loose and just like don't have any worries, at least in that moment, in that day, regarding that, because they're being very proud of who they are at that moment. It would be great if we're able to do that every single day of our lives, but we recognize because of this society and this world that we are in, that is not usually always the case. And so it made me reflect on where I was regarding it, because I felt like I was becoming pretty jaded, regarding, Pride Month. Felt like, okay, I've been to enough prides, I'm tired of it. All these things were coming up for me, with regards to that aspect of it. And so I had to take a moment and to really look and see what that was, about, for me. And then it allowed me to think and to really reflect and to understand of where I was at regarding that aspect of it, where I'm at now in my life, and how I see pride versus when I first saw it early on in my life, when I first came out. Course says this: let me make the one distinction for you that you cannot make, but need to learn. Your faith in nothing is deceiving you. And so what that did for me and what that made me resonate on is to reflect on the first time, well, one of the first times where I felt proud of being a gay man, actually at that time, a gay youth. And it was many, many years ago when they did the March on Washington, in Washington, D.C. So a whole bunch of us youth, I was involved with the gay youth organization, and we went there for this big march. And they actually had the youth to be able to march first. And just to be in that energy and in that experience of not only so many LGBTQ individuals, but all those youth as well, who are similar to my age, to be able to walk on the street and to be incredibly proud of who we were. It was just one of the most beautiful moments to be able to experience, and to see people cheering you, accepting you in that moment, and knowing how hard and how challenging and how difficult it was to come out, and then trusting and believing in myself that I'm able to do that, to put myself out there, to be very proud to be a Black gay man, regarding that aspect of it. And then the course tells us, offer your faith to me, and I will place it gently in the holy place where it belongs. You will find no deception there, but only the simple truth. Each and every one of us can offer our faith, our spirit of being proud of who we are and accepting our own identities. One of the things I love and I appreciate that is happening right now is these young individuals who seems to be able to accept themselves at such a young age, where a lot of us was not able to do that. To fight and to own how they want to be identified. I know and I understand that some people get upset when people ask them to be named either they or them. They're proud of who they are. And it's for us to be able to accept that, not get upset because we have to shift and change how we perceive someone and how they want to be referred. That's who they are. They are proud of who they are. And I appreciate the fact that they're able to do that and to own that. To me, that is what pride is about. Accepting no matter what others may say or think, and own that. That is such a beautiful thing. Then it also made me reflect of the one moment that I think that really shifted me to be comfortable of who I am as a Black gay man. And this actually has to do with my father, when I came out to him. Me and my dad has had a very interesting relationship. There was no doubt that I, loved my dad, very much. But there has been some challenging times with me and my dad earlier on in life. My dad was someone who struggled with alcohol. My dad was someone who wound up struggling with crack cocaine. So he was addicted to that. And it impacted our family in a deep way of seeing that happening. And it definitely added tension in our relationship with one another. Even to the point, I still remember this moment of the first time that, because of everything that I appeared that was going on with my dad with his addiction, of how I told him how much I hated him, of how, as far as concerned, he was no longer my father, to the point where it escalated. And for the first time, I physically attacked him because of all that. And then it made me realize and reflect that because of that incident that happened when I was a teenager, it put a distance between us. It distanced to the point where I was not able to be, felt like I was not able to be my true self. I really, really give of who I am to him. because of that. But then it made me think and reflect of how important it was for me to appreciate and love my dad for who he was, and to understand and be proud of what he went through. He grew up in the South, in Mississippi, where there was a lot happening. And I could just imagine what he went through during that time. So moving from a country into Southern California, totally different types of eras and how people sees each other. And so it made me to take a step back and realize of how important for me to appreciate and be proud of the things that he has done and things that he has actually taught me. And the thing that shifted and changed was because I mentioned that there was some distance between us. And I realized the distance is because I put it there, not because of him. And I finally realized that I had to come out to him, but yet it came out in a different way than I expected. He had decided to visit our family, all his siblings. And my siblings and them always came and watched me play softball. And at that time we were playing in Southern California. And he was coming, and so I asked my sister to check and make sure and see how he's going to feel about gay people, because it's a gay tournament, and I did not want him to be surprised. And yet my sister wound up telling him that I was gay. So instead of like just trying to find out, she just told him that I was gay, and it did not matter to him. He still loved me for who I was. He came to the game, he appreciated, and he visited me. And at that time, my partner, Reverend Peter, and stayed with us for a few weeks. And that made me realize that I had to accept of who I was and being proud of being a Black gay man. And that allowed him to accept of who I was as well. So it was my own doubt of my own not having been proud of who I was in my mind that got in the way of the relationship between me and my father. And that, for me, I felt was the moment that I allowed myself to become even more comfortable in my own skin because of that. Because of one person who I cherished, and knowing that what he went through, accepted me immediately. There was no doubt in his mind that he loved his son, regardless. And that is just such a beautiful feeling to be able to have. And knowing that, specifically, you know, coming from another Black man who's my father, and knowing how we've been taught so much in our lives, and yet he didn't see that. He saw who his son was and the beauty of it. And I remember at his funeral, when we went, that his sisters and them told me of how much he's always talked about me and how proud he was of me. And that is something I will always cherish and remember, that experience. As the Course says, and you will love it because you will understand it. In order for me to continue to be who I am, it is important for us to be proud of who we are, to love ourselves, to understand the beauty that we all bring into this world. Be proud to be a person of who you are, whether you identify as a male, transgender, a female, Italian, Jewish, Sicilian, white, Black, whatever. Be proud of that, because that's who we are. And by us being proud of who we are, that helps others. It helps others to be able to be who themselves. And I know I experienced that because I have 2 gay nephews who was able to come out because they have a gay uncle who's out. And to see how their father, my brother, accepted them immediately. That's what it is. That's how we pass it on. Us being proud with ourselves, allowing others to be proud of us as well. And that's the thing in my mind, it's important for us to keep in mind and continue to be able to do. As we celebrate the 50th anniversary of San Francisco Pride, it's important to understand what each and every one go through, their own journey, and to allow them to be proud of themselves, to flourish in any way they can, and for us to continue to be models ourselves to be able to demonstrate that. Happy Pride, everyone, and that's my talk.
How beautiful you are. How beautiful you are. And all my forbidden fruits, got to keep on.